Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Higher Perspective podcast, where we puff and discuss real world topics and issues. It's your girl, Kenzie Simmons, your host, and I'm so grateful to have you with us today. If you're a returning viewer or listener, hey bestie, welcome back. I'm so happy to have you here. So let's go ahead and get into episode 3. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Episode 3 already. I'm kind of getting into this whole, podcast thing. My first 2 episodes were like a month apart, and so I'm trying to aim for like every other week to get an episode out for y'all. So, if you're not already following us on socials, you can find us on YouTube, The Higher Perspective, and you can find my personal socials, TikTok, Instagram, etc., Queer and Cosmic. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? We shall. So today's episode is going to be about her. And by her, I mean hair. This episode is going to be titled, My Natural Hair is Ghetto. And we're going to discuss today a little bit of the societal expectations related to women's beauty, specifically Black women, and their hair, some of the stigmas and double standards that I personally have experienced as a biracial person who was raised and adopted by a white family. I have got a couple little things that I can share, I think, on this topic. So if you're interested in listening and hanging out for the next 30-45 minutes or so, I highly suggest you grab a drink, grab a snack, grab something. If you are 420 friendly, by all means, grab some flour, grab some kush, roll it up, pack the bowl, do whatever you gotta do, and let's get into it. I've already got a cone that I I just tested it this morning, just to make sure it's quality control. Yeah, quality control. So I have a cone here, a paper. If you guys can hear that. I've got a paper that I'm gonna be puffing one here in a little bit. So let's go ahead. I'll give y'all a couple minutes to get your shit together, honey. And we're gonna get this show on the road. I'm gonna take a little sippy sip here. I've got some pink lemonade in a wine glass because if you know, you know, bad biddies drink out of wine glasses. Wine or not, I put all my juice up in a wine glass, baby, because I just feel cute. I'll be feeling fancy. I'll be feeling like that girl. So cheers. Cheers to that. I'm gonna clip you guys on my shirt while I smoke, so I apologize in advance if the audio is a little, scuffled here or there. Oh, I got it. I attached the mic to my bosom area. Okay, we finally got the audio situated, so now we can spark up. If you are also indulging in the 4 to the 20, now would be a great time to go ahead and sparkaroo. And I am, a bougie little smoker. I've got my roach clip and everything. Puff, puff. What the fuck is happening to this one? Just puff, puff, puffing away. Okay. So yeah, I really feel like so let's get into it because I mean, clearly there is a very high expectation in society for women and our looks, our beauty, you know, how young we look, how perky our boobs are, how big our butt is, you know, etc., etc. It's always fucking something. That's how I feel. I'm like, it's always something that we need to be keeping up with, you know, whether it's our hair, our makeup, our nails, our clothes. Oh, and then we're scrutinized for our weight and for this, that, and the other. And sometimes the shit just gets fucking old. I'm gonna pick you guys up here. The shit just gets fucking old. And it's hard sometimes because it's kind of a double standard when it comes to men and women, because I feel like men are accepted regardless of like their weight or, you know, if they're balding or heaven forbid if they have a small pee-pee, like like women aren't as superficial, I guess, when it comes to looks. So we are willing to accept and move past some maybe, you know, undesirable physical traits. Whereas with men, it's just not that way. Like, women are expected to be perfect, to look perfect, to act perfect, to dress perfect, you know, and it's just unrealistic, to be honest. And I sit here and I wonder, especially being somebody who's adopted, I'm biracial, if you guys don't know. If you're not watching me on YouTube, because I'm pretty sure if you see me, you pick up on the fact that I'm mixed. But I am biracial and I was adopted and raised by a white family. So I've lived a quite interesting life. I have a really unique perspective on, well, a lot of things. That's why this podcast is called A Higher Perspective. But specifically on this topic of the concept of beauty as a whole in society, and then when you break it down one step further and you look at the beauty standards within the white community and the black community, it's different but also similar, because there's colorism that definitely is very much real and existing in the black community, and it breaks my heart to see people discriminated and just perceived by some in an ignorant manner to be less desirable because they have a deeper skin tone or because they have a tighter, kinkier texture of hair. It's just disappointing to see, I think, especially because knowing how much we're already scrutinized and discriminated against as a whole, being a minority, it's just like, damn, like, we also do pick ourselves apart. And that's coming from somebody who is light-skinned, who quote unquote benefits from the system or the standard as it is. I see it as wrong. I can still see through it as being incorrect. It's ignorant. And whether I benefit from it or not, because people, you know, bleach their skin to be lighter, or, you know, relax their hair to have a looser curl pattern or whatever, it's still fucked. You know, I'm not just sitting over here, you know, I'm not just gonna say ignorant to a problem because I may benefit from it. Because I know just as quick as I snap my fingers, it could be reversed. And I could be in someone else's shoes, or the standards of society could just be reversed. And it's just important, I think, to have that level of compassion for injustice in the world, regardless of whether or not, it affects us directly. And so, yeah, I mean, growing up, my parents didn't know what the fuck to do with my hair. My mom, she did her best. I will say in that aspect, I mean, she did her best. She asked if she had Black coworkers, she would ask them for advice. I had a couple random Black coworkers throughout the years of my childhood relax my hair with the box dye. My mom just didn't know how to do it. And back then, I mean, I was born in 95, y'all, so I'm 27 now. But growing up, that was very much the era still of getting your hair relaxed. Everybody had a perm. Like, that was just the style. That was kind of the standard, the expectation, kind of fitting into that Eurocentric beauty standard already, an ideal. And, but honestly, it made my hair more manageable for my mom. So I don't resent her for that. I mean, that was everybody, like I said, everybody and their mama was relaxed. It was just the thing to do. And so that was that. It wasn't until I got my hair pretty much, how do I say this? Fucking fried off. I went to a white salon. Now this is where I'm like, Mama, what the was you thinking? Because we had done at-home box relaxers, but then she was like, I was in high school, or I was going into high school, and she's like, let's take you to the salon, get your hair done. So I went into this white-ass salon in this white-ass city that we lived in. I lived in a real small, like, city outside of a bigger city, and very white. I mean, I think I was one of 2 or 3 Black or brown people in my middle school, grade school. Definitely, the black sheep, quite literally the black sheep. Not only in my family, but in like the classroom and in sports and in my community and in my neighborhood. So I didn't really get to see my people and like get to hang out with Black people and have Black friends till high school. But that's kind of off the beaten path here. So I went to a salon and basically they fucked my hair up. Now that I am a licensed cosmetologist, or I used to be, I haven't renewed my board certification, but I know what went wrong. They did, 1, not rinse my hair thoroughly enough, and 2, she did not neutralize my hair. So the acid from the relaxer basically sat in my hair and ate away at it for like days. Because if you have ever gotten a perm, you're not supposed to wash your hair immediately. You let it sit for a few days. I think it's like, depending on the relaxer, 24 to 72 hours, and then you shampoo. And so that whole time, and I played sports. I always had my hair in a ponytail. That paired with the relaxer still being in my hair, basically. I mean, I was practically bald. Like, I had a few inches of hair all around. It was very sporadic, uneven, going into high school, and it was just a fucking mess. So from that point forward, as a woman, I'm like, oh my God, like, our hair is super important to us, and our aesthetic and how we feel about ourselves. I mean, men too, don't get me wrong, especially because, balding is the thing, and, men have beards, and that totally can change a man's, aesthetic. But yeah, so imagine that going into fucking high school, right? Like new place, new people, you're already nervous enough. And I had been bullied. Like, I was the quiet kid with braces and acne, chubby, I had a stutter, and I was just always the weird kid. I was always the oddball. And people definitely, kids can be so cruel. And yeah, I was heavily bullied so throughout school. So I'm like, great, this is just gonna add into the mix. Well, what I didn't know was gonna happen is I kind of bloomed. I blossomed that summer. Puberty hit. I started wearing makeup. I had gotten little like fake ponies and fake buns, hair extensions. This is when I started like getting into all of that, dating and shit, and or having not dating, but like having crushes, like that whole phase. And so it ended up not being that bad, but that I think is where my love of hair and makeup and all of that came from. Was it made me feel better about myself, like especially the makeup when I was, practically just balded, over fucking night. And we actually did end up going back into that salon and asking them, hey, what the fuck's up? Because my hair is falling out. Looking back now, we could have sued they ass. We could have sued they ass, for real, for real. But, yeah, it was a lot. But my mom was super helpful. She definitely, took me and made sure I got like some little buns, so I could do like a side bun and a little top bun, and I could finesse it, and until my hair grew out. And from that point forward, I've been natural. I have not permed my hair since. Now my hair is actually bleached currently for the first time ever in my life. So I'm starting to do things like that with it, like diet and stuff. But I'm 27. Like I said, that was in high school. That was over 10 years ago, probably 15 years ago that happened. And I am still so like traumatized, low key, that I'm like, I didn't want to do anything to it at all, ever. Other than like, I would get sew-ins, I would get braids here and there. And I still love protective styles. I love changing my aesthetic up every few months. That's something, if you're watching on YouTube, you're gonna see, like, I'm always switching it up. But yeah, so all of that plays into like self-confidence and how I, viewed myself and kind of moved through those years. And I think, especially growing up as one of the only Black people in a room, in most rooms up until I was 15, affected how I spoke. Of course, then everyone always was like, you're the whitest Black girl I've ever met, like in high school. Oh my God, you're an Oreo. Oh my God, I forget you're Black sometimes. Like, I heard that shit all fucking high school. It was ridiculous. Of course, I wanted my hair to look like theirs. I was like, that's all I saw. There was no one had curlier hair than me. I had the curliest hair. I was definitely the most, ethnic looking type of person. So yeah, I was kind of alone on that ship, and it was really hard for me to learn to accept my hair for what it was, my body type for what it was. Everyone is like a stick skinny, and I've always been like curvy and like athletic and strong, and it's just kind of how it is. But man, when you're just that black sheep, you just stand out like a sore thumb, and kids will capitalize the fuck off of that. So yeah, I definitely built some character. To put it lightly, built some character towards me growing a little bit of a thicker skin. And yeah, it was just the beginning of my soon-to-be tumultuous life. For sure. A couple other specific instances and examples I can think of. One, okay, so when I was in cosmetology school, which, aside from the fact that the curriculum is quite whitewashed, like, and each school is different, but once again, the one I went to was predominantly white. So a lot of white girls, a lot of ignorant white girls. And one girl in particular who I actually had considered my friend at that time, she apparently, somebody put a couple of braids like in the side of her head, like right above her ear. And we're all in the workshop room, like working on our mannequins. She walks in, doesn't see me, and she shouts, "Look guys, I'm black now. Look, I have some cornrows. I'm black now." And I fucking turn around and I look at her, and she was like, I just saw like the color drain from her face, and she was kind of like, ugh. And then she literally just like walked out, and I was like, yeah, that was ignorant. And I can't remember who was next to me on the wall, but there was somebody right here next to me, and I started going off. And I said it loud enough. I wanted everybody to hear what the fuck I had to say, because I set the record straight, honey. I was like, that shit is so ignorant. That's exactly why, I give people the benefit of the doubt, and then look, they just say some dumb shit like that. And it's like, and now, what do I look like being your friend when you're sitting here sounding crazy, acting crazy? Like, just because she thought she could get away with that? So what else are you saying when no one's around, or you think nobody else is around? Like, red flag, okay? That's all I'm gonna say there. So that's just another instance of like the ignorance that goes into the culture. And the very, very sad fact of the matter is, everybody wants to benefit from Black culture, but nobody actually wants to be Black. Let me say that one more time. Everybody wants to benefit from the culture, but nobody actually wants to be Black. Everybody wants to listen to the music and duplicate the style and sing the songs and do our dances and da 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 da. But yet we are so heavily discriminated against, like, across the board. Oops, sorry, I just kicked my my camera. Oops. Okay. And yeah, it's just unfortunate. And that's why the whole debacle, the whole debate about, should white people get braids and shit like that. And like, my stance basically on that has been and will probably always continue to be. Now, I'm open. I'm always learning. I'm always growing. I'm always evolving. And my perspectives do change. I may look at these videos back in a year and be like, I disagree with that now, because I've learned or experienced something new, and that ideology has evolved. And so I am just going to preface by saying that, but as of right now, how I feel about that is there's a lack of respect for the history and the culture that is braids in the United States, specifically cornrows, locks, box braids, things of that nature. And I don't want to hear, I can already hear the white people now, but the Vikings had braids too, but Black people didn't invent the braid. But yeah, they didn't invent it, it's just a hairstyle. I don't understand why you guys always want to gatekeep. And it's always like this fake ass fucking Me Too movement of poor white people trying to act like, well, why can't we have, because y'all don't need to own everything. You don't. I know you think you do. You don't have to have the rights to every fucking thing. And the fact of the matter is, if you actually knew the history behind it, like, there is survival within cornrow braids. Our ancestors braided maps, designs into heads to help escape or to help travel or to know where to go. They hid seeds within the braids so that way when they got to where they were going, they could plant seeds. Guess what was one of the most popular seeds that they planted and sold and ate for their survival? The watermelon. Yeah, he, ha, ha, ho, ho. Everyone knows the jokes about black people and watermelon, da, 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 da. And that's just one small, tiny example of how our own resilience, our own power, our own knowledge, our own intellect, our own culture has been flipped and used against us and mocked and made fun of. Look at all that they have done to try to stop us, to hurt us, to manipulate us, to control us, to enslave us, right? And the whole Eurocentric beauty standard is just another piece of the puzzle. Black people are great. Black people are excellent. And it is very intimidating. I feel like it is very intimidating, and that's why they continue to try to perpetually put us down and squander us and turn us against ourselves and distract us from the real issues, the real truth, the real, because if we all actually focus on one collective cause, baby, they couldn't do shit. They couldn't do shit. I have one more quick story of a personal example of some bullshit. Thirsty. Yeah, Cottonmouth be a motherfucker. It really do. It really do. This story is actually kind of the reason this whole episode is the topic of the day, because I was thinking about all of this in general. And then I was like, yeah, you know what? I have a specific example of a time when a guy told me straight up that my curly hair was less attractive than my straight weave. But anyway, so I see this guy at the club that I went to school with. And he's also like a friend of a friend who I actually knew from camp. So I see him and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna call him Greg. I was like, hey, Greg, just doing the typical hi and bye, in the social scene when you see somebody And I'm like, how you been? Da da da. He's like, good, good. And he was like, you look hot. He's like, yeah, you look hot. He was like, you should totally keep your hair like that. It looks so good. Your other hair you had was so ghetto. Yeah, your other hair was so ghetto. You totally should keep that hair that you have now. And I'm looking at him like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like, get the fuck out of here. First of all, nobody asked. Nobody asked. Second of all, if you want to know what the fuck I had on my head, a wig, a straight, nothing special, little 18, 20-inch wig, straight hair, honey, and my lace was lifting, like, you know how lace be lifting, shit. Especially when you sweat. I have been out dancing and all of that, so I know my shit was looking whack, and he still preferred the whack looking wig with the straight hair over my ghetto, quote unquote, ghetto natural hair. Yeah, so this motherfucker called my natural hair ghetto in the club, just unsolicited, was like, yeah, you should keep the wig because your curly hair is ghetto. I'm like, dude, fuck you. Like, first of all, nobody fucking asked you. Nobody asked you. Second of all, I look hot no matter how my hair is, baby. Like, my hair don't make me. I make it. My energy, point blank, period, end of discussion. Okay? So I thought it was so rude and so ignorant for him to go out of his way and just be like, ha, 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 let me offer you this unsolicited advice. And I was just like, okay. One small example, there's such a bigger story and topic and issue here that I really want to discuss. I don't know, it just sucks when society basically conditions us to believe that one hairstyle or a certain skin color or a certain aesthetic or weight or size is like the ideal thing and people just buy into it. Like, people just brainlessly like buy into that whole agenda. It's so ignorant. It gets exhausting trying to keep up with the fucking, you know, beauty standards that are ever evolving, and you know, with plastic surgery and this and that. It's like the standard just is, it's unrealistic, it's unattainable, it's unachievable. And you know, people think that they're gonna find that like sense of like worth and security, and like they're gonna find that self-love like after that surgery. And that's just not the case. Like, you're never gonna find true self-fulfillment under a knife. Like, you need to find it in your heart, babe. Like, you need to probably go to therapy. It's okay, we all need therapy. We need to be healing ourselves. I'm not saying don't get the surgery, by all means. If it makes you feel better about yourself, get it. But I'm just saying, if you're seeking some sort of approval or validation through it, like, babe, you're never gonna find it. You're never gonna find it, no matter how much. I mean, you see how botched people's faces get because they just get addicted. It becomes very dysmorphic very quickly about like how you actually look. And yeah, it's just really, it's really sad. And I just want to be a voice to anyone out there, man, woman, gay, they, she, he, whoever, that you are 100% enough. You are literally perfect. Like, you were divinely designed. Can you believe that? You were divinely designed to be exactly who you are and to look exactly how you look, with the exact talents that you have, to bring something super special and unique into this world. It's just up to you to recognize it, to see it, to validate it, to claim it. And oftentimes, to get to that point, we have to first like unfuck ourselves, you know, unlearn all of the negative limiting self-beliefs, unlearning all of that negative self-talk. Like, I know I live in my head a fucking lot. I don't have a lot of earth in my chart. I'm a lot of fire. I'm a lot of everything else. I'm a lot of fire, water, and air. So I, specifically within my air energy, I'm in my head a lot. And I know how crazy it can get so quickly. I know how dark it can get, especially if people have been mean to you in your life, and if you've been mean to yourself a lot of your life. Like, a lot of times we just accept what other people tell us as kids growing up because we don't know better. We just kind of have like a blind faith and trust in the people around us and in the programming and the information we're receiving. And we don't think to like, you know, double check. But like, as we become older, it's important for us to go through with like a fine-tooth comb and like reassess and evaluate like our ideologies, our beliefs, our, you know, how we show up for ourselves and how we show up for others. And when we do that, it's not easy. It's a lot of fucking work. But you know what else is not easy is living the same fucking way you have been. And, you know, hating yourself and holding resentment for yourself and your body and how you look. And if you can really get to the root of the issue, if you can acknowledge it, if you can feel it, if you can heal it and release it with love, dismiss the embarrassment and the shame, and just move into a place of acceptance. This is what you got to work with. This is what you got. This is what you were given, you know, and you can spend your whole life hating yourself and picking yourself apart and viewing the glass as half empty and or you can make the best of your situation. You can learn to love your uniqueness. You can learn to love yourself inside and out, because babe, if you don't, who the fuck will? If you don't, Who the fuck will? We can't expect something out of someone else that we are not giving to ourselves, first and foremost. So if we're not loving ourselves, if we're not filling up our own cup, if we're not showing up for ourselves and saying and thinking positive things and showing compassion and empathy to ourselves, why and how do we expect others to do that for us? Yeah, something to think about. So, I always go deep on y'all. I gotta get a little deep up in here, because honestly, like, I set myself free from a lot of like fucking misery. Like, I hated myself for the majority of my life. I fucking hated myself. I was always told I was too fat, too weird, talked too fast, stuttered too much, fucking, just wasn't good enough. It took me to take accountability for accepting all of those beliefs and then having the courage to really like face myself and look in the mirror and like face my demons and integrate that shadow, darker side and energy into myself instead of ignoring it or pushing it away. Because like, honestly, like, there will come a point in time where you just get fed up. Like, and I just got fed up with my own self. I got fed up with my own fucking shit, and I just went in that closet, honey, and I cleared all them skeleton bones out. Did a deep clean, and there's still things I'm working on. I'm not perfect. It's a constant, process of growth and evolution that continues throughout our entire lives. But I really do finally feel like I'm in a place where I'm comfortable with myself. I'm happy with me and who I am. And this actually really reminds me of this song called Free. I think it's called Free by Perry Jones. A beautiful song. And she basically says, I'm free, I'm human and I'm comfortable with me. I'm capable, I've got everything I need, and it's just talking about acceptance and self-love. And I love that fucking song, and it really helped kind of heal me too. So as something you can also utilize as a tool is music. Music is a great tool to help you heal and to help with perspective and all that kind of stuff. A lot of times I didn't have anybody, I just had music, and my art to get me through. So do not underestimate the power of music. So I think that's it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I'm just so at peace with who I am and where I'm going, and I'm really proud of everything I've overcome in my life, getting to this point, living my truth, being queer, and pursuing a path less taken of, creativity and connection and inspiration through my art, through my writing, through my podcast now. Hey! Social media, my content and everything. And yeah, I'm just trusting God. I'm just following my heart and following my intuition. I don't know where it's going to lead me, but yeah, I don't know. I just trust myself. I trust God. I love myself and I love God. So I just know everything's going to work out even better than I expected to. And I just want to encourage y'all to do the same, because healing is hard. Yeah, sure, healing is hard. But you know what else is just equally as hard? Staying the fucking same. Living the same miserable day in and day out, staying at the same miserable job year after year, doing absolutely nothing that you actually want to do, not, fulfilling your passions and your desires. And you know, you're gonna have regrets and you get old and you look back, and that's just the one thing I refuse to do. And I hope y'all are coming along for the ride. So yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. I just want to encourage everybody to love yourselves, accept yourself for who you are, and you know, love others too, because honestly, if you really are happy with yourself and who you are and what you're doing and how you're showing up in this world, you're going to be a lot nicer of a person. You're going to be a lot more filled with love and acceptance and compassion for others, because you're holding that same space for yourself. You know, we can't hold space for others that we cannot hold for ourselves. And that's why I think there's a lot of misery in the world, because everyone's worried about the wrong shit. Everyone's worried about everyone else. And we need to be worried about ourselves. So take that with a grain of salt. If you're still here, I really greatly appreciate your time. Make sure you guys are following me on socials, and you can hit me up. Let me know if you're enjoying the podcast, or if you have any, you know, suggestions for future topics. I would love to hear some feedback. My personal account is Queer and Cosmic on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. And you can find our podcast YouTube channel, The Higher Perspective. Thank you guys so much for your time. I hope you have a blessed day, and I will see you next time. Bye.